Hi guys, so I'm making Michelle's recipe and I thought that this video might help. I'm mixing up my meringue now and I've already got my cream of tartar in there and I added the granulated sugar and I've got it on the highest setting and I've had it going for like 3 minutes or so. I added green food coloring because I'm making pistachio. So let's take a look. And you see how it like collects here? If you take it off and scrape the bowl down, and when you tap it, it should have like these sharp peaks. You see how sharp that is? I don't know if you can see it, but like it comes off in a whole clump when you tap it down. And how sharp that is, do you see? It's not like, it's past stiff peak. So when you're checking your meringue, I tap it down just like this till I get those sharp peaks. So that's how stiff you want your meringue. So I will do the macaronage step next. Please stay tuned. Okay, so I have a third of the dry mixture in here, which is the powdered sugar and the almond flour. And I scrape under and pull through. And I do this 10 times for the first third. And I really try and get under there because you can see at the bottom it really collects. So I just cut through, scrape the bowl down, get really under there, grab those dry bits. I hope you can see this. And then you keep folding, and that's 10. And then you're gonna add in another third and do the same process. So 10 times. 1, 2, and see how it collects at the bottom? You've really got to get under there. So it combines with the meringue. So I'm gonna do this with the last third and then I'll come back so you can see what my ribbon stage looks like. Okay, so we are at the final stage. I've already added the last third of the almond flour, powdered sugar, and I have gotten all of the dry ingredients from the bottom of the bowl. So I have done this 31 times. This is 32, 33, 34, 35. And you can see that it kind of goes right back to the edge of the bowl. It kind of just moves. So if you're looking at the ribbon, see how it falls off? When you can see that the ribbon is kind of going into itself and it's like oozing down, it's ready. It's not necessarily going back to a flat surface, but you can see the ribbons are actually like starting to meld back into the bowl of batter. You can see right here. So that's how I know that it's ready. If it came off and it wasn't sliding off my spatula into this ribbon, or if it was just like clumping off, then you know it's not ready. I know that this is ready because it kind of like oozes like slime. So I'm gonna add these to my piping bags and I will be back. Okay, so now I'm gonna pipe, and what I do is I actually have 18-inch bags, but I split my batter up in 2 sections just because I feel like it comes way too high up to the top and I get seepage at the top. So I like to just fold the bag over on the one that I'm not using right now and I move all of it to the bottom, and as you can see, I like the Wilton 2A, but I don't have two of those, so I use a 12 on the other one. But I have it inside, if you can see the bag, I have it twisted so that it doesn't come out, and then I just untwist it. And then you're gonna go right on top, and all you're doing is squeezing until it gets to the outer circle and flicking. Squeeze and flick. Squeeze and flick. You don't need to move your bag. You don't need to move your hands other than the flick. And sometimes you're still gonna get a little peak, and I'll show you how I fix that at the end of all the piping. Now for one of her full batches, it makes 2 trays, which is 60 macarons, or 30 sandwiches when you're done. So I try and divide my batter up evenly, but sometimes that doesn't happen, and that's okay. And then I've actually had extra left over, and I've had to pipe them onto parchment instead of my silicone mats because I only have 2. I am new at this. I just had really good luck. I don't know if it is, I think it is luck. I haven't had any bad experiences yet with Michelle's recipe. They have come out perfect every time, with the exception of the very first time that I made them, and I think it was because my oven wasn't warm enough. So I bumped it up to 300, and now I go 300 for 24 minutes, and I find that that's perfect. So this is the Wilton 12, and you can see it just takes longer to pipe them out just because the hole is smaller. But it still does the job really well. So I'll come back when I'm done piping these trays. Okay, so as you can see on my Macs that I've already piped, if you remember from the last video, some of them had a little peak, but they've actually spread out and they're gone now. They're nice and glossy. And because I'm doing pistachio, I'm just going to sprinkle on some chopped pistachios that I did last night. And these are going to rest. I live in Connecticut, and the weather is so variable here in the fall time. Sometimes we've got a lot of humidity, sometimes it's raining for a week, and it just so happens that it has been raining quite a bit here, and then it'll get nicer during the day. But for me, I have kind of learned how to adapt. I guess you kind of have to, depending on your climate. So what I have is, on a day like today, I have cracked my window in my kitchen, and I don't have it open all the way because I want some airflow, but I also don't want too much humidity to come in. So I have it cracked. Oh, as you can see over here, I did have a little bit extra, and I don't like to waste, and my son really likes my Macs, so I usually give him the ones that are on parchment. Now, I do not have good luck with parchment. I have only used for my orders, I've only used the silicone mats, specifically because I've noticed, even if I have my trays that I bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 24 minutes, and I have to drop this down on the parchment. I have to drop down the time to 18 minutes. And I even notice at that point that they're darker. So it's not my preferred method. Maybe it works for you. That's great. But for me, it doesn't really work that well. So I just keep my my trays on my baking table. And then what I like to do, my scale out of the way. What I like to do is I have this little fan that I keep in my kitchen, and I just turn it on the one tray that I piped first. And it's not an oscillating fan, so what happens, and it doesn't give out much, but it's just enough, is in about 10 or 15 minutes, I'll turn the tray around so it gets like this half better. And then I also have an overhead fan that I turn on high, and I let that go. So I have the window cracked. I've got this little fan that's going on only one tray, and then I've got the overhead on both trays and the smaller ones. And then I'll come back and I'll show you when they have formed a skin, and show you when they can go in the oven. Okay, so these have been resting for about 40 minutes. I turned my tray to get the other side, and as you can see, they've formed a skin on them. I can touch them. I don't get any sticky at all. None of the batter comes off on my fingers. It's formed a skin. So at this point, what I do is I will put it in a 300-degree oven, and I will keep them in there. My oven it takes about 24 minutes and 10 seconds. And I know that sounds exact, but that's what works for me. I know every oven is different. Mine happens to be an electric oven. And that's what I've kind of narrowed it down to based on my other Macs. So I will come back after my 24 minutes and show you how it came out. Okay, so here's my first batch out of the oven. And you can see they've got pretty good feet. And they are cooling. I took them off of the tray because I do flip my tray over. And I just put them on my cooling rack, and I put my little fan on them just to kind of help them a little bit. But you can see they came out pretty good, and I have no cracking, no explosions, none of that. I'm gonna put my next batch in, and these, just like the other ones, were they're ready to go in. I would just make a note that when you're putting the next batch in, that you wait until your oven comes back to temperature, because as soon as you open the door to take the previous batch out, the temperature does drop. So make sure that you wait until it comes back up to 300 degrees or whatever temp that you're using, and it will then you start your timer from there. So I will post after these are all set and cooled, so you can see the finished product. All right, so I've taken my last tray out of the oven, and they're cooling. I can just show you real quick two together from my other tray that have cooled already, and show you the feet look good. They're a little small, but all in all, I feel like that's a good batch, and I will get ready to make the pistachio filling, and then I'll just post a picture of the final outcome.